What will happen if we ask AI to describe an image and then feed that description back into an image generator AI? I don't know. What if we do that over and over again? Let's find out what happens after 100 iterations of this same concept. Will we sustain hints of the original image, or will we have a result that loses all resemblance to the original image 100 descriptions ago? With the recent release of the Mini GPT-4 demo, we now have access to a crazy new large language model AI tool. Mini GPT-4 is similar to the well-known ChatGPT in some ways, but uniquely it has the ability to describe images as well as answer questions about them. Beyond that, this super cool tool can also do wild stuff like suggest recipes, advertising campaigns, and more. So we devised a plan to test this out, starting with a very unique image of a yellow double-decker bus with a ridiculous-looking rubber duck face on it, driving through London in front of the Elizabeth Tower. We challenged Mini GPT-4 to describe this image. The request we made to Mini GPT-4 was, please describe this image, including subject, setting, and style. Okay, so far this looks promising. This image depicts a large yellow bus with a smiling face on the front. It goes on to describe the scene with the other people on the street. It says that it's taking place on a street in London. The style is lighthearted and cheerful. All of these things are roughly accurate. It's still describing the bus as yellow. So we could end up with a pretty similar image depending on how the image generation software handles this particular prompt. Notice how I'm using the exact result from Mini GPT-4 and feeding that in verbatim as the prompt for Stable Diffusion. Overall, this seemed like the best way to be consistent and really test out this theory. Taking a look at this first image, we can see that some of the unique elements of the original have already been lost. This is not surprising because, like all large language models, these are trained on large subsets of data. Because normal buses vastly outnumber silly-looking ones in the training data, it makes sense why we've completely lost some of that unique detail. The real question now becomes, what happens when we take this image and feed it back through the same process, and then do it again for 100 iterations? Get your guesses in now. What do you think the 100th image will look like? Oh, it lost the yellow bus, but we got Big Ben back. A few buses later. Oh, the bus changed color. It's red now. Wonder how many more times the bus will change color. We started with a yellow bus that looks like a wacky rubber duck in London, and now we've moved to a red bus in what appears to be New York. It's still, the central focus is still a bus though. I'm really hoping that we misinterpret the wheels on the bus to be like binoculars or something. After a few more buses, something unexpected happened. Oh, look at this, we changed. We don't have a bus anymore, we lost the bus. The bus is gone.
Oh wow, you lost the rubber duck too.
I lost the rubber duck the very first iteration. It lost the rubber duck immediately.
Aw, it's sad. My theory is that AI is intentionally trained to not make ridiculous claims unless there's significant confidence.
So what do you think our 100th image will look like?
A cheeseburger.
Yeah, my prediction is we'll just keep getting iterations of some kind of street with cars.
We lost the rubber duck immediately. We lost the yellow the next iteration. It took us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to lose the bus. So we're just losing definition. It's getting more and more vague over time, I think. And it might get to the point where we are it's almost like zooming out. Over the next few iterations, we noticed that the length of the description provided by Mini GPT-4 was not very consistent. However, this didn't appear to have a big impact on the results, in large part because the Stable Diffusion image generation locked onto just a few keywords and produced an image of whatever those keywords were. For instance, a road. Some of the image descriptions were also extremely generic and boring. After about 7 various images of modern-looking cities, the 18th iteration presented a somewhat cartoonish image of a road in a city. We initially thought that the cartoonish style would play a role going forward. However, this is not what happened. Mini GPT-4 made a blunder here and described this as photorealistic, even though clearly it isn't. We're going back to realistic.
How does it think this is realistic?
I don't know. We really anticipated to get stuck in the cityscape given the vast amount of images of cities that were probably in the training data. Instead, the road took front and center. The view looking down a deserted road would come to steal the show. The next 44 iterations saw us travel down a long, peaceful road, the season suddenly changing to fall. What if it accidentally described it as a gray triangle in a forest?
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. Like, imagine what we would get if it misinterpreted the road as a gray triangle. During this time, we never lost this distinctive road image. However, many GPT-4 did frequently hallucinate details that were not in the image but would normally be found in similar images, such as clouds. The 65th iteration excited us. After starting as a seemingly unending road, a new feature joined our adventure: mountains. The next iteration made us even more thrilled at the possibility of leaving this road behind us, but alas, it was not to be. We carried on down this road for another 15 iterations until the next opportunity to escape the road. Stable Diffusion created an image of a road but mixed in the colors from the trees to the road itself. This confused many GPT-4 and it changed its description to a dirt path. A path? It doesn't say road. Now, we were finally off the road, instead hiking down a dirt path through lush vegetation. We thought that finally we had an opportunity to leave the same perspective of staring down a road or a path, but this too was not to be. On iteration 93, we returned to the road. While there's definitely different aspects included now, such as fog, the overall composition and subject remain largely similar to the vast majority of the previous iterations, ultimately even returning to the colors of fall. And here we have our final image. Again, what we have follows the same concept, staring down a road in a forest. And this is where this journey ends. Did you guess that we would end up here after starting with a ridiculous image of a bus? I sure didn't. All I can say is it sure is a shame that our last image wasn't a cheeseburger. One theory we had as to why the road and the trees took center stage was that the image generation model may have been trained in part on Google's Street View images, which could skew the results in favor of this type of image. However, this is just a guess. If you have any other ideas as to why we've ended up with this particular result, we'd love to hear about them. Let's take a look at the entire progression together next. I should also note at this time that the images you're seeing here were upscaled from their original 512 by 512 resolution using LDSR. And there you have it, a full journey from start to finish. In summary, our final image here ended up very different from what we started with. Mini GPT-4, while very cool, clearly has some limitations that were on display in this experiment. For one, hallucinating details was a common occurrence, but they rarely influenced the result from Stable Diffusion. Another thing that became clear was that Mini GPT-4 is not good at noticing unique details. Results were often extremely generic and, frankly, quite boring. Thanks a lot for tuning in to the AI Playground. We believe that learning about AI should be a fun and engaging experience, and that's why we're committed to producing high-quality content that is both informative and entertaining. If you enjoyed our video and would like to see more, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. By doing so, you'll be notified whenever we release new content, and you'll be supporting our efforts to spread knowledge about AI to a wider audience. We have a long list of ideas for new concepts and videos, so we hope you come along for the ride.